This morning, Donald reminded us exactly who he is, as if we needed reminding. In classic fashion, Donald's chats with reporters quickly devolved into a showcase for his, quite frankly, staggering ignorance. This time it happened right on the White House lawn. When a reporter asked Donald about intelligence regarding the Iran Israel conflict, Donald thought they were questioning his intelligence. Well, who isn't? But that's not actually what was going on. Watch this.
Do you have any intelligence that Iran is targeting that Iran is targeting any U.S. assets?
We're doing very well. Thank you.
What? Are we? Are we doing very well? I don't know. I couldn't really tell because I'm blind now from looking at that tie. Anyway, it's a lovely shade of day glow yellow. Keep wearing it. I do find it interesting that something Donald is very, very self-conscious about, his subpar IQ, would be the first thing he thought about when somebody asked him a question about intelligence. I mean, we all know how defensive he is, how he goes on and on and on about the scores on the cognitive tests he takes, which, by the way, are designed to make you pass them, because they're not about your intellect or your intelligence or anything else other than whether or not you were slipping into dementia. So it was amusing, yes, but also telling that he actually thought a reporter was asking him if he has any intelligence. Is that a rhetorical question? Let's pretend it's not. The answer for him is no. When asked to clarify the elusive intelligence relating to his war plans, Donald he outdid himself. Take a look.
You've been answered questions about whether you are moving closer or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities. Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question. Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble.
President, what do you say to the supreme leader of Iran who says that they will not surrender?
Say good luck.
When does your
And what is the end game?
run out with Iran?
Say it.
When does your patience run out?
It's already run out. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
Isn't the Iranians ultimatum?
You could say so. They know what's happening. Maybe you could call it the ultimate ultimatum, right?
What essentially was that, though?
Oh, I don't want to say it. Look, I mean, give me a break.
Okay, there's somebody who does not know what the word ultimatum means, so that's bad. But a reporter asked a question about where, when, how he's going to take this particular approach to Iran, and he basically tells her, what a stupid question. It's something that he says often, but that's exactly what your Secretary of Defense did in a Signal chat for the world to see. So spare me your umbrage. I think it's pretty clear what he said when asked what he was going to do. He said, nobody knows what I'm going to do. He doesn't know what he's going to do. But I have to say that Dayglow yellow looked much better on the construction workers than it did on his tie. So reporters are trying to figure out if Donald's about to plunge us into war. And at that point, I think all questions should be on the table. All questions are viable. I mean, he doesn't have to answer them, but he doesn't have to get all snippy. I think he's still reeling from the fact that he thinks somebody was actually questioning his very low intelligence. Again, he insists no one knows what he's going to do next. Well, somebody should. It doesn't work like this. It doesn't work if it's all stuck in his head. There are agencies, there are heads of agencies, there are generals and admirals, and there's a chain of command. Many, many, many people need to be in the loop. The fact that he gets away with talking so cavalierly and ignorantly about a potential war that the United States is thinking of entering into without having been attacked by anybody should freak us all out. So while Donald's language is getting more threatening, he's becoming more erratic. He's clearly being pressured by GOP hawks like Lindsey Graham. I confess it amuses me to refer to Lindsey Graham as a hawk. Those in the Republican Party who want the United States to support Israel to the extent that we are willing, or I should say, they are willing to put our troops in harm's way in order to help out Israel. Donald is way too obsessed with appearing strong to say no, which, of course, is just another sign of his extraordinary weakness. Now he's starting to lose a lot of the very allies who put him into office in the first place. There's Representative Marjorie Greene, who's been basically taking breaks from what her real full-time job is, spreading conspiracy theories, to slam Donald for his threats to strike Iran. Last week, she spoke to the Times to talk about her America First position, saying, quote, "For decades, we've watched our men and women in uniform go all over the world and fight in wars that most Americans don't think that our country should have been in. Americans are very sick and tired of that," unquote. In another rare moment of sanity from the fascist Republican Party, sanity? How about, let's go with a broken clock is right twice a day. Representative Thomas Massey has teamed up with progressives like Ro Khanna to try to stop Donald from dragging us into yet another disastrous war, which, again, Donald has promised for a decade now not to do. Massey introduced a war powers resolution to block Donald from engaging in unauthorized hostilities in Iran. Okay, so we're looking at a bipartisan bill to stop Donald from waging war. Okay. I have to be honest with you. I am generally speaking against the Democrats making common cause with the Republicans about anything. Why? Because you don't make common cause with fascists. I'm going to make it an exception here. So let me clarify. You don't make common cause with fascists in order to help them get their corrupt, incompetent nominees to cabinet positions confirmed. You don't make common cause with fascists to help them pass a budget that is going to do grievous harm to the American people. You don't make common cause with fascists in order to deregulate cryptocurrency, which is a win for the cryptocurrency industry, whatever that is, a win for Donald Trump, who has been grifting off of the whole cryptocurrency scam and puts the U.S. Treasury at great risk. That's what I'm talking about. But when it comes to preventing potentially a war that may indeed end up with a nuclear conflagration, yes, by all means, come together, hold hands, pass this bipartisan bill to stop the guy in the Oval Office who is raging out of control because of the narcissistic injuries he keeps suffering. Please do that. Donald's losing allies fast, but he's losing much more than that. Before we go on, though, please remember, we here at Mary Trump Media are not corporate media. We don't bend the knee. We're not for sale, and we never will be. Every day, we expose the lies the Trump regime tells. Independent media survives because of you. So please like and share our videos. And if you believe in our mission, subscribe to our channel. The American people do not want a war with Iran. Even MAGA Americans, to the extent that they actually are Americans, don't want a war with Iran, no matter what Donald has to say. It's just another sign that he's growing more delusional by the day. This week, he told reporters he's more popular than ever. A CNN journalist asked about the backlash he's been getting from his own base over the threats to Iran. And Donald, of course, attacked CNN, then lied through his teeth. Take a look.
CNN. There's a split.
Fake news. Fortunately, nobody watches. Anybody watching CNN nowadays? I haven't seen it in a long time.
Some of your supporters are wary of the U.S. getting involved in another,
I haven't seen it, no.
and some believe that we should support.
Do you ever ask a positive question at CNN? My supporters are more in love with me today, and I'm in love with them more than they were even at election time, where we had a total a landslide. We had, we won all 7 swing states. Did CNN report that? We won all 7 out of 7, which everyone said would be almost impossible. And we won by millions of votes. We won 2,750 districts versus 505 districts. Think of that, 2,750 versus 505. And CNN...
Get that extraordinarily thirsty man a bottle of water. My God, what a desperate, pathetic piece of garbage. Also, by the way, did CNN report the election results? I'm pretty sure they did. So one question you may be having is, does Donald actually believe this stuff? Does he actually believe that his supporters are more in love with him? I mean, I personally don't believe that he's more in love with them because he thinks they're beneath him. Does he really believe that he's more popular than ever? Well, the truth of the matter is, kind of. I've said this before. Many times when Donald lies, he knows he's lying, but then he repeats the lie, that he becomes the victim of his own propaganda. He is, in a sense, the only person I've ever known who can gaslight himself, because MAGA is not rallying around him at all. Here's what his own supporters are saying to him on his very own failing social media platform. Quote, "So you are getting into this war. So much for your America First promise," unquote. And then we have, quote, "What is going on with you? We don't want to be involved in this war at all," unquote. Finally, quote, "So you are admitting that the U.S. is directly involved in the war, the complete opposite of what you preached during your campaign. We voted for peace. You've officially killed the Republican Party," unquote. If only. If only. It's not just the base, of course. Even Donald's favorite media allies are losing patience. Tucker Carlson confronted Senator Ted Cruz on air over the conflict, highlighting just how fractured the Trump regime is becoming.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple? What's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and
what
predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even. You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay,
actually,
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country.
Why should Tucker Carlson, of all people, know anything about Iran? I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to defend Tucker Carlson. He's vile. But in this instance, he happens to be right. A sitting senator of the United States of America, one of 100, is gunning to wage war unprovoked on a country about which he knows absolutely nothing. He should know more than Tucker Carlson knows about Iran. He should know how many people live there. He should know what kind of people live there. He should know something about the government. And he should know whether or not Iran has actually directly threatened the United States of America and its people. It does not seem to me like Donald's base is very happy with him. He dug in even further, making wild claims about recent polling and inflating his sense of his own popularity. Take a look.
There was a poll that just came out today that my approval rating's the highest it's ever been. All I'm doing is saying you can't have a nuclear weapon. And I tried to do it nicely, and then on day 61 I said, let's go, because we can't let that happen. And I've been saying it for 20 years.
Okay, he had nothing to do with the run-up to this particular conflict between Israel and Iran, except for this. He pulled us out of the JCPOA, which was designed to make sure that Iran never was able to build nuclear weapons. That's it. It's that simple. Nobody believes him. And I just as a quick aside, isn't anybody sick to death? I mean, literally sick to death of hearing that depraved little man brag about his popularity and his poll numbers and the margin of victory in an election, or an election being stolen from him because he's so great and wonderful that how could he possibly ever lose anything? Who can look at that person and think, that's a strong man? That's somebody I admire. He is just a pathetic loser who has to prop himself up at every turn because nobody else will anymore, except a shrinking circle of the most sycophantic of the sycophants. He clearly is not looking at the same polls I'm looking at, because the ones I see tell a completely different story. Donald's approval ratings are tanking. According to a new Economist YouGov poll, Donald's approval rating dropped 2 points in 1 week. Now, 54% of Americans disapprove. That's up from 52% last week and 49% just weeks ago. He is not trending up. This is, especially in today's political climate, as close as you're going to get to a collapse. It wouldn't be a press scrum of Donald's without his whining about old media clips. This week, he complained about a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris, which he's suing Paramount over. Paramount is the parent company of CBS, which is where 60 Minutes airs. His reason for suing Paramount, by the way, this actually makes me feel bad. It makes me feel less than. He's suing Paramount for $100 billion. And the reason, I hope you're sitting down in case you haven't heard this. It's quite alarming. CBS and 60 Minutes edited the interview.
But think of it. Did you ever hear that one before? They took the entire, every word, threw it out, put another answer. Do you think they do that for me?
I think it happens daily.
Well, I've never seen it. I thought I've seen everything. That I've never seen.
Yes, the allegedly most media savvy guy on the planet doesn't understand how editing of interviews work. Sure. Props, by the way, to the reporter who replied, I think it happens daily, when pushing back against Donald's feigned ignorance, because of course it happens on a daily basis. It happens many times a day. And you know in which context it's happened more than any other? For decades now, the media has spent an inordinate amount of time and resources editing, softening, and making comprehensible a man who is completely incomprehensible, unfit, and incompetent in order to make Donald Trump appear like a normal human. And they've tried their best to use their tricks and tactics of editing to make him appear presidential, when nothing could be further from the truth. It is a common strategy, and there's a name for what corporate media has done for Donald Trump. It's called sane washing. Now, we know there's nothing sane or normal about Donald or about any of the ways in which he has been covered over the decades. The time, though, for blind obedience seems to be over, and it is long past time, because being blindly obedient to a man who has no limits, who has no bottom, and quite frankly, who has no worst, is going to get us all in a lot of trouble. So, journalists, reporters, media outlets, even you, corporate media, it's time to break free from your allegiance to a man who seems hell-bent on getting all of us killed. Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating, because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.